What happens when a powerful federal judge believes she can put a rising congresswoman in her place, only to discover that her target isn't just a politician, but a legal genius with the skill to fight back? That's exactly what unfolded when Judge Beryl Howell tried to punish Representative Jasmine Crockett in open court. Howell, known for her no-nonsense style and authority, expected the confrontation to end quickly, with Crockett humbled and silenced. But instead, what happened next shocked the courtroom. Crockett, a trained attorney with years of courtroom experience, didn't flinch. She didn't fold under pressure. Instead, she turned the tables. With sharp logic, surgical precision, and fearless defiance, she forced Judge Howell into a position no one expected, cornered, exposed, and powerless. The exchange left witnesses stunned, reporters scrambling, and even Howell's defenders at a loss for words. Because this wasn't just a clash between a judge and a congresswoman, this was a showdown between the establishment elite and the underdog fighter, between authority and accountability. And what Crockett said in that moment will be remembered as one of the boldest challenges ever made to judicial power. If you've ever felt like the system is rigged against ordinary voices, if you've ever wanted to see someone stand up to unchecked authority and win, then stay with me. Because this is the story of how Jasmine Crockett transformed an attempt to punish her into a historic moment of resistance. To understand the weight of this confrontation, we need to know the players. Judge Beryl Howell has built her reputation as a tough, uncompromising figure on the federal bench. Appointed during the Obama administration, she has presided over some of the most politically charged cases in Washington, D.C. Known for her stern tone and commanding presence, Howell is feared as much as she is respected. Lawyers often warn each other, don't test Judge Howell's patience. She represents the kind of institutional authority that rarely gets challenged openly. In her courtroom, she rules not just with the gavel, but with the aura of power that comes from years of commanding respect. And then there's Representative Jasmine Crockett. Before Congress, Crockett was a trial attorney in Texas. Day after day, she defended people society had forgotten. She wasn't cushioned by wealth or privilege. She was in the trenches, fighting for clients no one else wanted to touch. That's where she learned her style. Fast, sharp, unwilling to bow to intimidation. When she entered politics, critics expected her to tone it down. Instead, she doubled down. Crockett made headlines not just for her speeches, but for her ability to expose contradictions in real time. Whether it was fellow lawmakers or high-ranking officials, Crockett wasn't afraid to press, to challenge, to dismantle. So when Judge Howell tried to bring her authority down on Crockett, it looked like a classic mismatch, a federal judge versus a freshman congresswoman. But what most forgot was this. Crockett was more than a politician. She was a lawyer trained to fight in exactly this kind of arena. And that's what made this showdown inevitable and unforgettable. The hearing began like so many others, tense, formal, and tightly controlled by Judge Howell. Crockett had been pressing issues related to judicial accountability, ethics, and transparency. Her questions were sharp, her tone unflinching. But to Howell, this looked less like questioning and more like defiance. "Congresswoman," Howell interrupted sharply, her voice echoing across the chamber. "This is not the place for political grandstanding." Gasps rippled through the audience. The judge had essentially accused a sitting member of Congress of abusing the courtroom stage. It was a clear attempt to put Crockett in her place. Most people, when confronted with that kind of judicial rebuke, retreat. They apologize, they soften their tone. But Jasmine Crockett wasn't most people. Instead of shrinking back, she leaned forward. With calm intensity, she replied, "Your Honor, with all due respect, this is not political theater. This is about the truth." That line shifted the energy instantly. What Howell expected to be compliance turned into defiance. The judge's eyes narrowed. Her gavel came down. "Congresswoman Crockett," Howell snapped. "You are out of order." The courtroom froze. The tension was now electric. Crockett stood accused of being out of order by the very authority who controlled the proceedings. And yet, she didn't yield. Drawing on her legal background, Crockett began dismantling Howell's claims point by point. She cited legal precedent. She referenced courtroom rules. She even quoted Howell's own past statements back to her, exposing contradictions that Howell likely thought no one would remember. Every word Crockett spoke wasn't just an answer. It was an escalation. Spectators leaned forward in their seats. Lawyers in the gallery exchanged glances. The judge who prided herself on control was suddenly losing it, not to another judge, not to a veteran litigator, but to a congresswoman who refused to bow. And that's when the drama hit its breaking point. Judge Howell raised her gavel again, prepared to strike it down and silence Crockett once and for all. But before she could, Crockett's voice cut through the room. "Judge Howell, you can strike your gavel. You can call me out of order, but what you cannot do is erase the truth. The robe you wear gives you authority. It does not give you immunity from accountability." The room exploded in silence. For a moment, no one moved. No one breathed. It was as if time itself had frozen around those words. Howell's hand hovered above the bench, her authority suddenly fragile. The very tactic she had used countless times to assert dominance, the gavel, the rebuke, the threat, had been stripped bare by Crockett's fearless statement. Reporters typed furiously, trying to capture the exact phrasing. Spectators glanced at each other wide-eyed, and Howell herself. She didn't respond. For the first time in the exchange, the judge was speechless. Crockett had done the impossible. She had turned the judge's own authority into a weakness. By reframing Howell's power as responsibility, not immunity, Crockett had shifted the moral high ground entirely. And in that silence, Crockett pressed the advantage. "This court belongs to the people, and I will not be punished for speaking the truth they deserve to hear." The chamber erupted, not in applause, because that would have been forbidden, but in the kind of charged energy that told everyone present they had just witnessed history. The confrontation between Judge Howell and Representative Jasmine Crockett wasn't just a courtroom spat. It was a symbolic battle over power itself. On one side, the entrenched authority of a federal judge used to controlling the narrative. On the other, a congresswoman who carried not just her own voice, but the voices of the people she represented. Crockett's brilliance wasn't just in her words, but in her ability to flip the script. She turned an attempt to punish her into an opportunity to redefine the conversation. The takeaway? Authority without accountability is fragile. And when challenged by truth, even the strongest walls of power can crack. For those watching, it was a reminder that courage matters. That speaking truth to power is not only possible, it's necessary. And for Jasmine Crockett, it cemented her place not just as a rising political figure, but as a force the establishment could no longer ignore. So here's my question for you. Do you think Judge Howell underestimated Jasmine Crockett, or did she reveal just how powerful a fearless voice can be? If you believe no one, not even a federal judge, should be above accountability, then hit that like button. If you think Crockett's words will echo as a warning to anyone who abuses authority, drop a comment below. I want to hear your take. Did she just make history in this confrontation? And if you want more powerful breakdowns of political legal battles like this, stories that reveal how truth can topple arrogance, then don't forget to subscribe. Because here, we don't just watch history unfold. We expose the battles of power, reveal the truth, and remind the world that no one is untouchable. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay critical, and never be afraid to challenge authority.